Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Robcast Revenge of the Nerd podcast. Hi, everybody. It is Rob Sachetto coming to you from my movie room. That means another movie-related podcast. I am Rob Sachetto. I am the inventor of the zombie portrait, and I'm a guy who basically has ensconced himself into the pop culture landscape by being a primarily zombie artist, inventing the zombie portrait and adding a new zombie drawing to the internets, to the world via the internets every single day for the past 12 years. Yes, that's a lot of zombie art. I'm also very, very interested in films, comic books, Lego, wrestling, all sorts of fun pop culture things. Today we're going to talk about three big movies, and these are three very similar movies. They are the three big King Kong movies. Now, King Kong has also been a massive part, very influential part of pop culture as well since the very beginning, since the inception of King Kong in 1933. So we're going to be looking at the three big King Kong movies. Now, the first one obviously is the 1933 movie by the same name, King Kong. It is a black and white film, of course. Now, 33, that is a very, very vintage, to say the least, film. Probably one of the oldest mainstream films, given the amount of effects and things in it. There have been others, obviously, before that. But this movie, the effects by Willis O'Brien, not Ray Harryhausen, as a lot of people mistake. Ray Harryhausen did a number of stop action fantasy films, but this one was the effects in this were done by Willis O'Brien. It was directed by Marion Cooper and Ernest Schoedsack. Old-timey names. Yeah, circa 1933. Okay, so getting right into it, this movie is a fantastic example of film cinema at this time. Just an absolute spectacle, a beautiful black and white movie. The only detractor I would give it now would be the fact that it is rather dated. So I'm not sure how film goers, other than really hardcore cinemaphiles or people who are right into film in particular, would enjoy this movie. A younger audience might not quite grasp it or understand it or feel that it is speaking to them. A lot of things move very quickly. I find in very old movies, love happens very fast between characters. Relationships happen very fast between characters, and this is no different. Fay Wray plays Anne, the beautiful victim of King Kong, or really King Kong ends up being the victim of her, as Beauty, Beauty kills the Beast. Basically, that is the message, I guess, or that is the final line. This movie is just an opulent spectacle of cinema at the time. So much went into set design and the special effects. King Kong fighting various creatures on Skull Island. Excuse me. Pterodactyls, the T-Rex is the giant snake, so on and so forth. Just amazing cinematography. and set design. Acting's not that bad. Actually, it's a very, straight ahead plot story. Group goes to Skull Island. They encounter Kong, bring him back to the United States as a spectacle, and and he dies. So there it is in a nutshell. However, there is so much more complexity and things going on in this that will keep you riveted. And honestly, if you can look beyond the fact that it was done in 1933 and look beyond the dating of it, you're gonna have a really great time watching this. Like I said, the effects are really the attraction here, and they're amazing. Harryhausen, Willis O'Brien. I'm sorry. See, I always think that Harryhausen's the guy who does all of the stop motion stuff, and he did a lot of it. But this was Willis O'Brien. Willis O'Brien's effects are so incredible in this movie, probably unprecedented at that time. So definitely give it a watch. Like I said, the only detractor would be maybe the fact that it is dated. I mean, 1933, guys, but still, if you can look past that, it's such a treat. The next movie is King Kong. What a surprise! This is an actual remake of the original King Kong 1933 film. By the way, the company that released King Kong back in '33 was the RKO. So not to be confused with Randy Orton of WWE's RKO out of nowhere finishing move. But this was done by Peter Jackson and Wingnut, his Wingnut film production company. This is another opulent spectacle and an absolute, phantasmagorical foray into Skull Island and all the creatures and everything, almost putting Kong in the back seat. I really like this movie. I just watched this too. I watched all of the movies I'm reviewing right now very recently, a couple days ago. I watched the deluxe extended edition, which is the huge thick one. So the one thing I find, it's brilliant. The production and period recreation in this, and the nods to the original. If you're a real cinemaphile and if you're really into movies and stuff, and you watch the original King Kong, you'll see so many nods to the original in the Peter Jackson remake. It's fantastic. The one massive drawback for me personally was the fact that it was so long and overindulgent. Peter Jackson wanted to get in so many things and prolong them, like the love interest story, the natives on the island, on Skull Island, the dinosaur fights, the chasing and running and battling and all that stuff. Setting up so much at the beginning, then so much at the end. There's it's really overkill, I found. Where the first movie almost goes too fast in establishing things. And I mean, again, it's not, I wouldn't say too fast. I would say it quickly establishes a lot of things that perhaps maybe could have taken a little bit more time. But come on, it's 1933. They're doing a giant ape movie. Come on, give them some. You got to cut them some slack. Peter Jackson at least had some, idea of how to map this out. I just found it went way too long. Some of the effects are even questionable. Like there's a giant dinosaur schmoz where these Brontosauri or whatever are running after the crew on Skull Island, the film crew and all the the seamen, the seamen on the island. I think women and seamen don't mix. Yes, we know what you think. There's a nod to the Simpsons version of King Kong. In the Treehouse of Horror episode. But yeah, so the seamen and the crew, the film crew, are being chased by these brontosauruses through this corridor, rocky corridor. And it's so over the top, and it's so, almost it's very not believable, even within the even within the parameters of this unbelievable situation. The dinosaurs almost look like marshmallows, falling over each other, not hitting people, and this stuff. And there's a scene where Kong is fighting not one, not two, but three Tyrannosaurus Rexi, and they fall into this, crevasse with all these vines, and they're going back. It's like Cirque du Soleil with a giant ape and three Tyrannosaurus Rexes and fighting, and they all want to eat Naomi Watts, the character who plays Anne in this version. I mean, it is a very it epitomizes overkill to the highest degree I've ever seen, really. So there's a lot of stuff, and I mean, there's again lots of dinosaur attacks. There's an insect attack. Some of it's done very, very well. Some of it's done so indulgently that you kind of want to fast forward it because it's too much. So anyway, aside from all that, again, it's such an incredible movie to watch. I think even young kids would like it. If you skip the boring parts, maybe the regular cut is a bit different. I haven't seen the regular cut in quite some time, so I can't quite remember how that panned out, if it was faster paced or not, or how much they took out of it. I think they took out a part where there's a giant water monster or whatever picking off all the guys on this raft and stuff. Anyway, there's almost too much going on. I think the movie could have been shortened by literally an hour, okay, 45 minutes, half an hour. Take a half an hour out of this movie, and that's a lot. A minute is an eternity in film. In the film, in watching a movie. If you take a minute out, you're gonna notice it. So, or if you put a minute in, you'll notice it. So, taking out that much is almost necessary for this movie. Nonetheless, the effects are fantastic. Andy Serkis is actually in. You'll remember Andy Serkis from The Lord of the Rings. He played Gollum. He is actually a character in the movie. He's one of the seamen. He plays a character in the movie. He also plays Kong. He also plays King Kong in the motion capture suit. So he's amazing in this. He plays a dual role, so to speak. It's fantastic. Just to see him. There's so many parts. Naomi Watts is luminous. She's wonderful in the role. Adrian Brody is great. He's one of those guys. He's one of those actors who I think can do weird indie movies and small roles and weird characters, and also go broad and do big Hollywood things. He's kind of like Nicolas Cage in a way. He has that diversity. Can do a lot of things. He's in this too. The only casting I didn't fancy quite that much was Jack Black as Carl Denham. I love Jack Black, I really do. I think he's gone way too Hollywood now, but whatever. You know what? People love his Hollywood movies and his funny roles and stuff like that. Fantastic. Good for him. I'm really glad that he's a huge talent. But I love him most in the little HBO series they did with Kyle Gass, the Tenacious D little series. I think it was 7 episodes, and they were maybe 15 minutes each episode. I'm telling you guys, if you haven't seen that and you like Jack Black, watch that. He's an amazing musician, as you kind of suspected. but funny. It's foul-mouthed. It's so hilarious. It's such good stuff, and that's how that and like High Fidelity is kind of where I and even School of Rock is where I see Jack Black the most. I kind of found his role in this a little weird. Anyway, that's my opinion. I like the movie anyway. I own it, of course. I own the original. So, there you go. The third movie is the other big Kong movie, the most recent Kong of Skull Island, or Kong Skull Island. It is an actual Oscar winner for special effects, and you'll know why when you watch it. To me, so let me just say that this movie is where Peter Jackson did a remake of the original. This is basically a reboot of the King Kong or Kong character, or of the mythos, or the franchise, however you want to look at it. And I really love this. I really, really love this movie. I loved how it was tied in. Legendary Studios ties this into this monster verse that they're creating with Godzilla and all these other monsters. There's some really great creatures in this movie too. These giant water buffalo, these skull, I can't remember what they were called, the skull beasts or whatever. They're sort of like these evil reptilian creatures with like almost skull type heads. Brie Larson's in it, Tom Hiddleston and Samuel L. Jackson, so it's almost like an Avengers reunion in this movie too. It's kind of interesting to see these characters in the movie. John Goodman is in here too. John C. Reilly plays a fantastic part in this movie right at the beginning, and then it's him, but it's not him. You'll see what I mean when you watch it. You get to meet him halfway through, and there's a absolutely touching. Honestly, to me, I had a lump in my throat watching his little scene at the end, right at the very end of this movie. It's so, like, this movie's so well put together. All the various parts really come together perfectly. The creatures are very, very cool. I just loved it. The actual King Kong creature looks amazing in this film. This one I can find almost no flaws. It's perfectly paced. The acting is fantastic. It's almost like it's almost like Full Metal Jacket or Apocalypse Now meets King Kong or whatever. There's lots of like army sort of involvement in it and stuff. I just loved it. I you know what, if I was really doing a star system, I'd give it like 5 stars or whatever. I kind of give all these movies 5 stars because simply by default, they're really, really great movies. The other two have their problems, by no fault of its own. The first one being made in 1933 is obviously dated. It can't help that, but I think Kong Skull Island really does a fantastic job at rebooting the entire idea of King Kong, and reestablishing him as the king of monsters, especially on this island, Skull Island. So again, I love this movie. It's very, very rewatchable. Unlike maybe the first and the first one in the reboot, Peter Jackson's one is like so hard to get through because it's so bloody long. But again, I digress. I go to this third one. It is really fantastic, guys. I think you should really give it a chance if you have not seen it. Definitely worth a watch. Many watches, really, as far as I'm concerned. There's been other King Kong movies. King Kong has obviously been influential in so many things in pop culture. I mean, Godzilla, there you go. I don't think there would be a Godzilla if there wasn't a King Kong. I don't think. So that's a huge thing. Jurassic Park, clearly influenced by King Kong, the whole idea of this dinosaur island, and you see the iconic going through the gates, going into Jurassic Park and all that. Mighty Joe Young, Gorilla Grodd, there's been so much. If you know what I'm talking about, Mighty Joe Young is another sort of offshoot or sort of I don't want to call it a rip-off, but holy crap, it's a rip-off of King Kong. Recently we had Rampage with The Rock, and he's fighting. There's a giant gorilla in there, and there's other monsters and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. Giant apes and giant gorillas or whatever have been a mainstay in pop culture ever since King Kong happened. So you got to give it credit. At least right there, for being so much of a iconic creature in our pop culture, sort of in the panoply of pop culture. Just amazing. So those are the 3 movies, guys. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, please give me the thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon page for new content every single day. New zombie drawings and other drawings go on that page every single day, including the little thumbnail in this video of King Kong as a zombie. And please stay in, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon again. I will add more content, and I'm very much looking forward to that. It's therapeutic for me. I hope it entertains you. I hope we can be friends through the art of video and through the magic of video and the internets. Okay, I love you guys. Take care. I'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.